Now, some of you know, I'd usually come down and say hi to all of you. They'd tell me there's a storm coming in. Is that right? Is that still the deal? That's the truth. Now, don't make a lie. As that scene in the John Wayne movie, don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier. All right, well, I tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the White House photographer to come up. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stand. I usually shake everybody's hand. But I'm going to stand in front of each section. No, I really mean it. And if you can see the camera, they can see you. And it's the least consequential part of this whole meeting for you. I promise. All right? God save the Queen, man.
And that's how President Biden concluded his remarks at the National Safer Communities Summit, June 16, 2023, in West Hartford, Connecticut. After citing legendary Hollywood actor John Wayne, President Biden urged God to save the Queen. And that prompted some observers scrambling to understand what he meant in that context. For instance, Alex Thompson of Axios wrote, President Biden often uses old-timey expressions that confound even his own staff. That happened again Friday when he ended a speech on gun violence with, God save the Queen, man. Alex Thompson also wrote in Axios that President Biden, quote, has an arsenal of wacky phrases he deploys, unquote. And he remembered that, during this year's State of the Union, he told Republican lawmakers, lots of luck in your senior year. And that's this podcast. Since Axios remembered President Biden wishing Republicans lots of luck in their senior year, we will too. In this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly, you'll hear President Biden in the State of the Union address and at other times extending wishes for a lucky senior year. First off, let's return to President Biden's second State of the Union address, February 7th, 2023.
Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year.
That line about lots of luck in your senior year left some observers wondering, what does that mean? Here at The Weekly, we can't answer that, but we can do something else. We can find other times, in other settings, with other people, and with other policy issues, when President Biden talked about having lots of luck in senior years. We'll begin with foreign policy and accused war criminal Slobodan Milosevic. On June 28, 2001, Serbia handed over former Yugoslavia President Milosevic to the United Nations War Crimes Tribunal. That day, with reporters, Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Joe Biden discussed the action.
In the spring of '93, I met and personally met with Milosevic late into the night in his office with Mr. Karadzic, another war criminal who is still at large in the Republic of Srpska, and with two of my staffers. At one point, Slobodan Milosevic, who was as cool as a cucumber, as we Americans would say, leaned across this small conference table and said in impeccable English, Senator, what do you think of me? And I told him I thought he was a damn war criminal and that he should be tried as such. And I would spend the rest of my political career trying to see that happen. He just looked at me like I said to him, lots of luck in your senior year.
Likewise, on September 3, 1997, Senator Joe Biden told the Senate he had informed someone else, Bosnian Serb President Radovan Karadzic, that he was a war criminal. And Karadzic, according to Senator Biden's telling of the story, had the lots of luck in your senior year reaction as well.
But there's a gigantic impediment in the Republic of Srpska, and his name is Karadzic, an indicted war criminal with whom I have met in the past and whom I told over 5 years ago he was, I will not precisely say what I said, but I said he was a war criminal and should be tried as one to his face, and he looked at me like I was saying, lots of luck in your senior year, no problem, thanks for talking to me.
Another use of lots of luck in your senior year by Senator Biden, on January 30th, 2007, former Secretary of State James Baker testified to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. The topic, U.S. policy in Iraq.
I want to make it clear I'm going to be stepping out of the room, and in my absence, I'd ask Senator Dodd to chair this. But we're going to promise we're going to try to get you out of here around 3:00. So lots of luck in your senior year.
More foreign policy, June 18, 1997, speaking to the Atlantic Council about NATO expansion and Russian reaction.
I had one interesting comment. Our conversation was Zaganoff was repeated with Lebed. They talked about they don't want this NATO expansion. They know it's not in their security interests and on, and said, well, and if you do that, we may have to look to China. And I couldn't help using the colloquial expression from my state by saying to Zaganoff, lots of luck in your senior year. Good luck. And if that doesn't work, try Iran.
Now, domestic policy. Here's Vice President Joe Biden speaking at the McConnell Center Conference on Leadership in the U.S. Senate in Louisville, Kentucky. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is on stage with him.
So, after the election, a very bitter election, with very little bipartisan cooperation in the previous 20 months, we still have a lot to do. But during what I referred to earlier, as we referred to as the lame duck session, lots of people thought things were going to get worse. But I knew better, and so did Mitch. So I talked to the president. I said, I want to go sit down with Mitch. And he said, okay. Good luck. Lots of luck in your senior year. No, he said, do it.
And lots of luck in your senior year has come up in contemporary times with media covering President Biden. Like this exchange with a reporter during the November 9, 2022 post-midterm election press conference.
Republicans have made it clear that if they do take control of the House, that they want to launch a raft of investigations on day one into your handling of Afghanistan, the border. They want to look into some of your cabinet officials. They want to investigate you. They may even want to investigate your son. What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say.
And almost exactly a year earlier, on November 6, 2021, President Biden had this observation for reporters covering his remarks on infrastructure.
And by the way, you all write for a living. I haven't seen any one of you explain supply chain very well. No, I'm not being critical. I'm being deadly earnest. When your editor says, explain the supply chain. Okay? Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say.
And now, a bonus clip. We return to how we began, with God Saving the Queen. Listen closely as Vice President Joe Biden dissolves the two houses of Congress for the counting of electoral votes. It was the ending to a joint session that officially certified, after the 2016 election, Donald Trump as the next president. The date, January 6, 2017.
The purpose of this joint session having been concluded pursuant to the Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 of the 115th Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved. God save the Queen.
That's it for this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly. A reminder, you can do your own searches in the C-SPAN video library. Just go to cspan.org and use the search bar on top. You'll have lots of luck finding gems, and you don't have to wait for your senior year to do so. Thanks for listening, happy searching, and, well, yes, God save the Queen.